Hey guys, SkittleRampage here. Welcome back to a new video. I do hope you're enjoying your day today. So today we're going to be talking about an email that popped up from Funko Europe, basically confirming that Funko will just about restock anything, even con exclusives. Now I do want to go ahead and thank the subscriber who did actually send this over to me in my email. They were kind of upset about the situation, wanted to voice their concerns, and asked me to share this and kind of talk about it a little bit. So here we are. Now I did actually share this over on Instagram, as well as some people did repost, and this has caused quite an uproar in the community. A lot of people are really upset. A lot of people are really for this. So before you hear everything I have to say, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this situation at hand. Basically, them restocking con exclusives and all kinds of different exclusives, whether it's vaulted or not. Do you think Funko should be doing this? Or do you think they should not be doing this and leaving Pops alone and just making new ones? Let me know in the comments below. Now, before we jump into the topic, since it's a little more controversial, I want to lighten things up with the question of the day, which is, when did you start Funko Pop collecting? Or what is the first Funko Pop that got you into collecting? For me, it was actually Batman, the animated series. Once I got that one, I picked up a couple more like DC and Marvel ones. Fun fact, actually, I did not start with anime. I started with DC and Marvel. Eventually got into anime, and here we are 7 years later. So let's go ahead and start off with the email that was sent over to the subscriber that sent this out. So this comes over from Funko Europe. It says, "Hello Burke," I think that's how you pronounce her name. "Thanks for your patience. Our products manager has advised the sticker represents the original convention launch, and sometimes the demand is so much that we decide to run productions beyond the initial launch. Apologies for any confusion caused." So that basically indicates and says verbatim that if there is a demand that outweighs the supply of people wanting a specific con exclusive or an exclusive or just a common, they will reprint more. Now, something to highlight is that this did actually come from Funko Europe, so I don't know if this whole issue is going to be region specific or if it's going to happen here, but we've also seen many cases of restocks happening over here, so I'm just assuming this is something going forward that Funko everywhere will probably do. Now, this upsets people for many reasons. One, specifically on con exclusives, usually it's supposed to be a one and done situation because it's exclusive to the Comic-Con. So when you see a Comic-Con exclusive with a 2022 sticker on that Luffy with Thousand Sunny going around with a 2024 date stamped on the bottom, you're kind of just scratching your head like, what's going on here? Because I like to think that most people's thought process here is, why even bother reprinting a con exclusive when it's supposed to be limited edition and limited to the con? However, as you may have seen in recent years, exclusive and limited edition doesn't really mean much to Funko, it seems. We've seen all kinds of Funko Shop exclusives with chases, especially One Piece specifically, restock a million times. This includes Armored Chopper, Armored Luffy, Armored Brook, Goldie Roger, etc., etc. They focus a lot on One Piece lately. Given it's a hot seller, I understand it. And they never said that it was limited to a certain number. So technically we can kind of just give them that one on the technicality. However, given it's an exclusive, you'd think it'd be limited to a certain extent. Instead, you get restock after restock after restock. And don't get me wrong, I've said many times that I'm completely for a restock if it's a newer exclusive. Nothing vaulted because, as you've seen, and I'll give you some examples here shortly, they have restocked vaulted Pops before and printed them with newer dates, as you saw also with the Luffy Thousand Sunny I showed you earlier. But yes, I am for restocks as long as they're not vaulted or older grails or limited pieces that just don't make sense to restock because they should just be left alone. So to pause here very quickly, I actually wanted to add in a thought, which was, I like when Funko remakes a mold versus restocking the original, especially if it's vaulted. Let's take the original Ghostface, for example. They didn't remake it. However, they did give us 3 different styles that you could buy without compromising the original. And it looks different enough where some people absolutely hate it and some people love it. So there's a great way where you can actually distinguish both molds and people can buy what they prefer. Now, whereas you have great situations where they just remake Ghostface and don't touch the original, you also have situations like with the 2017 All Might Glow Funimation exclusive where He originally released in 2017, and then 2 years later, they re-released him with a 2019 barcode sticker, but kept the 2017 exclusive sticker on the box. And it's the same situation as Luffy. Why do we have 2017 stamp stickers going around with 2019 stamp dates on the bottom? Another example is this Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger 2-pack, which is a box lunch exclusive here in the United States. However, like I said, they're producing more stock of something that's super old and was vaulted. Now, we've discussed Comic-Con exclusives being restocked, as well as vaulted pops being unvaulted and reprinted, and even your traditional exclusive like on the Funko shop with different chases being restocked over and over again. I think the big question here, what exactly is safe from being reprinted or restocked? Your best bet is most likely the NFT exclusives or just limited pieces in general, like you'll see limited 1,500 pieces at SDCC or NYCC, or Fun Days, for example, where you have your LE 50 pieces, 300 pieces, 500, etc. Though I gotta say, sometimes they do very sketchy things with the Funko NFTs, like take this Ranger Slayer exclusive, for example. First, they released the NFT, and then later on, they released a previews exclusive that was very similar to that, which caused an uproar. They were very excited to get this limited exclusive NFT that you couldn't get anywhere else outside of these packs, and then here they are dropping a very similar exclusive, like a couple weeks, if not months later. And this is not the first time they've done this. There are several examples of very similar pops releasing right after the NFT redeemable release. And not to mention, we've also seen Funko NFT releases end up at Funko's warehouse sales in Arizona numerous times. However, that whole Funko NFT situation is a completely different conversation and video for another time. Just mostly wanted to point out that while the limited factor in terms of them being restocked on a grand scale most likely won't happen, it is very possible that Funko will capitalize on people wanting that NFT redeemable, but they can't reprint it because they're trying to keep some integrity, so they'll make something similar as a mass release. And honestly, it's just kind of scummy to do that. The NFT molds or that specific character or design should be unique to that NFT, and they should not make anything else. And touching up on the limited edition numbered exclusive pops, if you witnessed Camp Fun Days last year, you already know what I have to say about that. It was a mess with the numbered pieces that year. So before we go any further in this video, we gotta ask the question: what does this mean for collecting, for your everyday collector, your OG collectors, or someone who just started? Now, what I usually see is a lot of the newer collectors or your everyday collectors are the ones that are very pro restocks or very pro give me this exclusive for retail again, because I cannot afford $100 to $500 exclusive pops that weren't available when they started collecting. And then you have your OG collectors who are like, well, I want my pops to be rare still. I want them to be limited edition. I want these numbered pieces to matter. I want them to have some value overall. I think the way Funko went about these reprints was kind of wrong. They should have given it some kind of exclusive restock sticker so we could distinguish the two easier in terms of value especially. And here's an example. We have the original release Luffy with the glossy hair from One Piece, and then the newer print from 2024. That original release Luffy was selling for almost $800 at one point, while the new restock one was selling for $15. Now that's solely due to One Piece fans are just insane. I'm one of them, but sometimes it gets a little crazy. And two, it's because they wanted something rare that you couldn't get again. And as you heard me mention, these two figures were completely different because one has glossy hair, for example, and one doesn't. And even one detail like that can make something much more valuable to a collector. I think the right thing to do, especially with Comic-Con stickers, if you plan to restock something or reprint it, just re-release it without the sticker, because it doesn't even make sense to have a 2022 sticker on a 2024 pop anyway. My genuine opinion on this situation is that I'm a value collector. I'm a collector of rare things as well as exclusive things. I like my items to be hard to get or very sought after. So when they just reprint everything or restock everything, it definitely makes you rethink the hobby. Now, of course, I'm gonna have plenty of people trying to make that out to be a bad thing, being like, oh, he's selfish, or he only cares about money, or he doesn't care about the collector because he wants to keep everything for himself. That's not me being greedy. Sometimes I've paid the high prices for these exclusives that I wasn't able to get, and that's perfectly fine. I have no issue doing that because I understand that a collectible hobby needs to have rare things. It needs to have an aftermarket where people sell things. And unfortunately, I hate to break the bad news, but collectors or resellers or people who collect for value make the hobby just as popular as people who are just everyday collectors. Guys, I have $10 pops, I have $8 pops, and then I have $300, $400 pops in my collection as well. My collection varies in value. I like low value stuff, I like high value stuff, I like rare stuff, I like not so rare stuff. But at the end of the day, I do feel that a hobby needs a good, healthy mix. But when you reprint everything, it makes a lot of people not even want to collect. And don't get me wrong, I understand Funko is a company at the end of the day. I completely get that. They have to make their money, and they're gonna make their money any way they can. I completely get that. So don't think that's just going over my head. I understand they're a company, but there should be limits to what you do to keep your product engaging and important to your consumer base. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but a lot of people have been getting out of collecting in the last 2-3 years due to Funko making exclusives of things that don't even make sense, or making something metallic, then making it glow, then making it flocked, etc., etc. Now, I'm not saying Funko is going to go out of business in the next 5 or 10 years or anything like that. I'm just saying the things they're doing is very damaging to a lot of collectors. Whether you see them as value collectors, scalpers, resellers, or anything like that, those people are leaving the hobby. And sometimes it feels like people are leaving faster than they're joining. So to touch up on that just a little bit more, you might have noticed a lot of prices going down for grails, exclusives, or pretty much most things lately. Now, everything does go up and down every once in a while. It's kind of like a stock market situation sometimes with Funko Pops. Not exactly the same, but more so meaning when something happens in a show, it becomes trendy, then the pop goes up. Or if your favorite character dies in the show, a lot of people are going to start jumping at that pop. Take the Robert Downey Jr. announcement as Doctor Doom, for example. The pop that was $25, infamous Iron Man, ended up being $300 almost the next day. So basically things go up and down with Funko Pops just like the stock market due to everyday life. In general though, a lot of things have gone down in value due to less people buying stuff, or people just not paying as much for certain pops, people undercutting each other. There's a million reasons as to why. However, one point I want to specifically focus on is the fact that the hobby itself is actually changing. We're going through a market correction is the best way to kind of describe it, meaning that a lot of collectors are phasing out, a lot of newer collectors are coming in, as well as we're fresh off a pandemic where people were paying crazy prices for grails and pieces in general, where people were going on Whatnot when it was first introduced, paying lots of money for pops, whether it was a common, exclusive, or grail. And something else you have to consider with the hobby feeling like it's on a decline as a whole is that people don't really have a lot of money right now. Given the state our economy's in, more people are focused on gas, food, and everything else that's more important than, you know, bobbleheads. So not to bring too much political talk into this, it's just the state of the world also affects how much money people have to spend on these collectibles. So to wrap up my thoughts with this video, again, this news came from Funko Europe. I don't know if this is region specific. So some of the things I was talking about in this video are kind of speculating as to if this is going to be on a more grand scale, if it comes over here or the rest of the world, etc., etc. Though you can't really ignore what Funko's done in past years on vaulting stuff, restocking stuff, reprinting stuff to no end. So it's not really hard to believe that this is the full direction that they plan on going in. If you truly want to make a change for big things like this, or with how many exclusive variations they put out of one character, again, making it glow, metallic, flocked, etc., you have to hit companies where it hurts, and that's with your wallet. Spending less, not buying all these random variations that you may not need for your collection. If you like it, that's a completely different conversation. I want you to have what you want. That's not what I'm saying. It's more so if you feel like I do, or you feel like most people do currently, then you speak with your wallet and you buy less of the stuff that they do put out. And hear me when I say this, I'm not advocating for a full-on boycott from Funko. I really like their products and I still consume a lot of it. And I'm not someone who's just telling you this and then not following what I'm saying as well. I've purchased a lot less pops in the last 2 years by far. I've gotten rid of a lot of variations in my collections within reason. Of course, I always have the ones I do like. Even if they're unnecessary, sometimes there's that pop you just love. But I've really dwindled down on my collection, probably 100, maybe 150 in the last 2 years, because I'm just sick of owning so many variations of one character. Enough is enough at one point. I don't know though, guys. There's plenty of ways you can look at it. We could sit here talking for another 30 minutes, most likely, arguing back and forth, or just debating in general. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions though. Again, I see both sides of it completely, though I am kind of leaning more towards one side that I think things should be more limited versus reprinting everything. However, if they plan to reprint everything, they might as well just send me over an Arlie Vegeta at this point. So guys, I have said my piece. I wanted to talk about this. I felt it was a very important topic. It was very dividing among the community as well. I don't know how many other people are going to talk about this A lot of channels don't really like to talk about controversial stuff like that, which is fine for their channel, but every once in a while I do like to talk about that stuff here just because, again, I feel it's important to highlight these things, the good and the bad with Funko. Because if you only highlight the good, then the bad just gets suppressed and then people feel unheard. Anyways, though, I do want to thank you so much for listening to my opinions and thoughts on this topic, whether you agreed or disagreed with me. I appreciate you being here. I am going to end off the video here by saying a big shout out to all the awesome Patreon supporters of the channel. You guys are amazing for supporting myself and the channel. If you guys are interested and want to check out the Patreon, the link is down below. We have a Patreon-only Discord where we share a lot of information, news, restocks, updates, links, and more. And lastly, make sure you follow me on all my social medias at SkittleRampage over on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and my Facebook page so you can stay up to date. All right, love you guys. See you guys in the next one. See you guys later. Bye.